Welcome back to Bio News Network. We're actually taking a closer look at the weather going into this weekend and also early next week. And we're actually seeing quite a bit of very warm, clear temperatures all across the country. If you actually take a look at some of the temperatures in the southwest area of the United States, Las Vegas, Phoenix, even Albuquerque and Denver, we're hovering somewhere between 70s and 80s and 90s, so there's quite a bit of warm temperature. But we're pretty much looking at high pressure regions throughout the country, but that's going to change pretty quickly going into next week. So before we actually get started into this weather forecast, if you appreciate weather content, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to this video, and so we can actually get into it. So if we actually take a look at the temperatures all across the country, there isn't any really heavy precipitation. We're talking as far as early Saturday evening, and we don't really see any precipitation across the continental United States at this time, with the exception of a small region here in the Houston, Texas area. But right now we're just pretty much most of the cities across the country are dealing with, especially in the western part of the country, dealing with pretty much very warm temperatures. We're seeing temperature anomalies 10 degrees higher, 12 degrees higher than normal, 15 degrees higher. In some regions, it's actually 20 degrees higher than normal. Las Vegas is touching on 91 degrees. Phoenix is 95. If we take a look at Dallas, it's 71. If you take a look at Denver, it's 73 degrees. And even as far as Tampa, Florida, we're looking at the mid-70s. So there's quite a bit of warm air. This is mostly high-pressure systems. We can actually see one hovering over the Carolinas, and we actually see different high-pressure systems across the United States. But that's going to change quite a bit going into the early part of next week. So if we actually take a closer look at the weather, we actually see that we have a low-pressure system that's actually transitioning, but there's going to be a cold core of air that's going to be migrating down into the continental United States, and that is going to have a significant impact as far as snowfall in the areas of the Idaho area, Montana. Do keep in mind there's very drought conditions in the Dakotas, so this cold body of air is going to possibly bring additional snowfall in the range of maybe 5 to 9 inches of additional snowfall, particularly at higher elevations in the area of Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota. And this low pressure system will actually migrate and make its way across to the east, but primarily hovering in a northern section of the country. So if we actually take a look at what we anticipate to be pretty much heavy turbulent weather going into Wednesday, we can actually see the transition of this system. And as we mentioned, there's going to be a cold body of air making its way through the northern northwest section of the United States, and is actually going to bring pretty much very heavy torrential rain, heavy precipitation, thunderstorm activity to the areas of possibly South Dakota, the Nebraska area. We're talking about Kansas and Oklahoma. And do keep in mind, these areas are pretty much recovering from very heavy precipitation and rainfall from only a matter of like a week ago, when we had significant tornado activity. If you recall from our previous videos, we were actually tracking the tornado activity along the borders of Alabama and Mississippi, and within only a matter of a few hours, many of the within the 250-mile square area that we had forecasted for significant tornado alerts, unfortunately there were several tornadoes that touched down in that area that led to the loss of life and significant property damage. So we are monitoring this area significantly simply because We want to keep our subscribers ahead of as far as knowledge going into early next week. We anticipate very, very severe weather, possibly in the area of northern Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri area. We anticipate possibly very, very heavy severe thunderstorm activity in the area of the Tennessee Valley and Kentucky. But right now, based on what we're looking at, the different forecast models for heavy precipitation, we anticipate that that cold core of air is going to move its way across from the Idaho, Montana area, bringing a significant amount of snow, lower than normal temperature anomalies, and with that it's going to be increased precipitation. But once it makes its way into the Midwest area and Great Plains area, then it's going to be additional precipitation, severe thunderstorm. If you do remember from the previous model, we're dealing with a significant amount of very, very warm air, warm temperatures, very, very above normal temperature anomalies for most of the country, primarily in the southwest area of the United States, primarily in the areas of Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, southern Colorado. This entire area is just a huge body right now of very, very warm air, and we anticipate that that's going to be fuel for this system to produce some pretty severe thunderstorm activity and severe, possibly tornadoes in the area just north of the Louisiana, Louisiana and Mississippi border. And we anticipate will be there's a good chance of severe activity in that area. Another aspect to our weather forecast that we're actually taking a look at also is going to be our North Atlantic Oscillation Index and our Arctic Oscillation Index. And we're basically taking a look at them at two different, at 500 millibars as well as 1,000 millibars. And if we take a closer look at both of these indices, we can actually see that for the next 2 weeks they're going to be dipping into the negative phase. Negative phase basically just simply means that there's a greater chance of cold Arctic air actually pushing its way further south into the continental United States, and that's possibly influenced by this cold core of air that's actually moving its way an upper low that's actually making its way into the continental United States, and it's going to be impacting with that warm body of air, being that we've had several high pressure systems across the United States for the last few days, bring us very, very clear weather. We do anticipate that all of that surface heating and clear skies is going to contribute to very warm temperatures and warm air impacting that cold core, which is a prescription for very, very severe weather going forward. So we do see, based on the NAO and the AO indices, the data points are dipping into the negative zone, possibly for the next 2 weeks. So we're going to be on alert for additional cold air coming into being actually shifting just a little bit further south as those low pressure polar vortex are actually weaker than they normally are, which allows the cold air to actually dip a little bit further into the continental United States. But we're actually taking a very, very close look at the temperatures across the United States, and we see everything warming up. Las Vegas in the 90s and Phoenix in the 90s, and then this cold core of air making its way through the United States. We do anticipate that's going to be additional tornado alerts in the area of Arkansas and possibly northern Mississippi, and also going to be in the area of Missouri. So that's actually our update for today, Saturday, the 3rd of April, and do hope that this information has served you well please go ahead and subscribe and share this video with friends and family, and we will go ahead and try to keep you in the know with any latest developments regarding these weather systems that are actually going to be impacting the continental United States over the next few days. And thank you for bowing to the weather, and thank you for watching Bow News Network.